And we're going to begin with the fires out west. Weary firefighters in Los Angeles are bracing for a new round of dangerous winds. Gusts of more than 100 kilometers per hour are expected to make things much worse. So far, the wildfires, California's worst ever, have claimed at least 24 lives and scorched thousands of homes and businesses and acres. Okay, for more on the economic devastation being wrought by these wildfires, let's bring in Robert Hartwig. He's with the Center for Risk and Uncertainty Management at the Darla School of Business, University of South Carolina. Welcome to the program. Thanks for coming in. Very difficult topic.
It sure is, Sean. Thank you for having me here and to discuss this, very tragic and very expensive issue.
Yeah, indeed. So we know that California's governor, Gavin Newsom, is saying that these fires could be the costliest disaster ever in U.S. history. We know that a lot of these homes are worth tens of millions of dollars. Of very affluent areas have been hit time and time again. Give us a sense of the scale, because I saw one map as big as the island of Manhattan is. It's just a fraction of the size of one fire in Palisades. So what do we know about the economic cost so far?
Right. We are talking about economic costs and also about insured losses. So let me talk about insured losses to begin with. Right now, the best estimate would be about $25 billion. And to put that in perspective, that would be the costliest wildfire in U.S. history. However, it would not be the costliest insurance disaster in world history. That would be Hurricane Katrina, way back from 2005, which in today's dollars would be about $100 billion. So we aren't even remotely close to that. However, it is likely to be the most costly wildfire in U.S. history. In terms of economic losses, however, we are talking about multiple hundreds of billions of dollars, $200 billion plus. But again, that is likely to fall short in terms of the most costly natural disaster in U.S. history. Again, likely be Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah.
So this is a very severe event, but it is in a relatively compact area. And we're talking about mostly residential losses. And the component that we don't have here that we have in other major catastrophic events is we don't have an enormous amount of business-related loss. So that would make all the difference.
Yeah, but Robert, what we are going to have is the insurance agencies pushing back in a huge way, just like they did in Katrina, whether it's in New Orleans or along the Mississippi Gulf Coast. We know that State Farm tried to cancel some 16,000 policies just before this happened, but California State Insurance Commissioner has apparently stepped in. To what degree is this going to be just a nightmare moving forward for people?
Well, let me just clarify something here, that State Farm and other insurers over a long period of time non-renewed policies. That is a huge difference from just unilaterally canceling policies. They gave months of notice to policyholders beginning way back in 2023. Okay, so let's make that distinction. However, not to downplay this, this is a major event for many individuals who may have obtained insurance through the state-run FAIR plan, as it's known. And so this is a process by which they will need to file a claim. And obviously, this is going to be a long process, because we're talking about a process that begins with the removal of debris. Millions of tons of debris over a vast area will have to be removed. Then there's going to be a permitting process for new residences and so forth. So for many individuals, we're talking about, in the event their home was completely destroyed, potentially a process that's going to last several years before their actual new home is available for them to move into. And so that means, of course, part of this process involves finding temporary residence, which in fact is paid for by your insurance.
One thing that I remember about Katrina is a lot of the people that went in to rebuild that area, they wanted to build the biggest, most expensive things first. And it's not just wealthy people who are affected. There are a lot of residential neighborhoods where people were middle class, lower middle class. How is this going to play out, and how difficult is it going to be, especially for those people who are going to be struggling financially to rebuild?
Well, insurance is very egalitarian. Insurers do not differentiate between customers who are wealthy and those who are middle class. And it's the same process for everyone. If your home has been damaged or destroyed, you're going to file a claim with your insurance company, and the insurance company is going to adjust that claim fairly and expeditiously and begin to set you on the path to restore your home ownership. And everybody loves their home and they want to be back as quickly as possible. So as interim steps, insurers are going to, again, provide resources to allow you to be able to rent, stay in a hotel, whatever is necessary until that home is repaired or rebuilt. Sometimes that might be a multi-year period, but that's why you purchase insurance.
Right.
So it's going to be a difficult situation when we're talking about thousands of structures, at least 10,000, perhaps 20,000 that have been damaged or destroyed to this point.
At least from what I've been reading. Okay, let's talk about moving forward, because climate change certainly is coming into play in this. And if we look at the state of Florida, we know a lot of insurance entities there gave people advance notice and did not renew claims there. And so people are paying into this huge fund to get insurance through the state, which we're, as I understand it, we're all going to end up paying for down the road. What is it going to be like for California moving forward? Because these wildfires seem to be now a yearly calamity, for lack of a better word.
Exactly. So whether we're talking about California and wildfires, whether we are talking about Florida and hurricanes, what we are seeing is, again, an increase in the severity of these events, meaning the average cost of these events. And yes, climate change is one element of that. It is one component of it, and it's an important component. But the reality of it is that there are simply far more people, measured in the millions, who are living in harm's way. So the vast majority of the meteoric increase that we are seeing in the cost associated with natural disaster losses is associated with people making decisions, businesses making decisions to locate themselves in harm's way. And so it isn't any surprise that the 2020s so far and away are turning out to be the most costly decade in human history in terms of natural disaster losses. And that trend has been true through the first 5 years of the decade. 2025, as we look to the next 5 years of this decade, are going to be pretty much the same. We're looking at record levels of catastrophe losses in many years.
Robert Hartwig, we thank you for your information there. Thanks again.
My pleasure.